What you listening to, son?
Are you AMAB? Oh man. Our managers bourgeois by their very nature. I mean, I don't know about bourgeois, but they are hierarchical. So it breeds opportunity for exploitation. So in that sense, yeah. I feel like I am for the abolishment of managers are a product of private property. Yes. So, yes. Now, I'm not anti-structure, but I am anti-hierarchy, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like there's a way to do it. Don't ask me how. But I feel like, for the sake of organization, we need people in managerial positions. You know what I mean? Like in the sense of, like, there's some shit that needs to get done that maybe most regular workers wouldn't have time to do if we delegated, but maybe that wouldn't be the case. Maybe there's a way to circumvent that to where everyone shares in the same amount of paperwork as they do the actual work itself. You know what I mean? I mean, I'll say this. I am a proponent for democratization of the workplace, full-on support for economic democracy. So, you know, non-hierarchy would probably be the best way to go if we are to fully actualize that value, to fully actualize that reality. Workers can self-manage their own interests and should own what they produce and manage themselves. Right. So right now, let's just say right now, what would be the point of the manager if it wasn't hierarchical? So hold on. Pause. Everyone pause for a second, okay? Hang on. This is what I think. Just like how socialism is a transition state to communism, okay? Or rather, market socialism, right? Would be a transition to full-blown socialism and then communism, right? It's a stepping stone. So, to start out with, maybe, I think we can't just press the communist button, okay? There's also needs to be some education on what we are going towards. If we just press the revolution button, people will be against it. We have to educate the proletariat. We have to let them know why we are going in this direction and why it is beneficial to them. So, I think, you know, abolition of private property, abolition of hierarchy is the eventual end goal that we need to go towards in order to actualize economic democracy and workplace democracy, right? For the maximization of all democracy, that has to happen. However, we are going to probably need a baby step, especially a great portion of the population who is not familiar with and have been propagandized against these concepts. So we keep hierarchy for a little bit for the sake of organization and for the sake of stability. But for where I work, there's a 120-day review where you earn some PTO, maybe even a pay raise, okay? I believe there should be another one, a 240 review, where 8 months into your employment, you are guaranteed a pay raise and some more PTO and maybe some more responsibilities as well as some more freedoms, okay? 1 year into employment, honestly, in a lot of places, you should be kind of grateful that a motherfucker's there for a year or longer, okay? Workers are tired of fucking bourgeois bullshit, okay? If you got an employee, the same employee and dedicated employee at your business for a year or longer, be fucking grateful and show it. by fucking having a year review of their employment at that point, and if they seem like they're not just there for the paycheck and they really do want to contribute to the business, they have earned the workplace right that if they end up in the same room as the CEO, they have as much influence over the company's course and direction. There you go. Problem semi-solved. You got an employee employed at that business for a year or longer. Now you have the same power. Maybe you do, maybe you don't have the power to press the button, but you don't get fucking fired, for instance, if you have some criticisms of the way shit's run. You could be in the same room as your boss's 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 boss, the top dog of the whole fucking operation, and be like, yo, this shit's fucked up. You need to change it. And guess what? You keep your job. CEO's in position doesn't mean shit. Exactly. You think it's going to mean something when they're getting basically politically threatened by their employees' empowerment and expansion of choice and expansion of freedom? Oh, they're going to do their job all right. When they're getting put in their fucking face, yo, shit's fucked up. I don't like this, along with my 50 other colleagues. You're gonna change this shit. They're gonna fire an entire building's fucking staff? No, they're not. More than 50% of your staff wants to change shit. They ain't gonna fire over half of their fucking workforce. And if they do, they're fucking either dumbasses or truly heartless fucking people who don't deserve their fucking position anyway. Which is why employee and workplace regulations need to be fucking heightened up, and democratization of the workplace needs to be a really strong fucking first step towards market socialism, communism, ideally, not historic, ideal, by design, original communism, not what has happened, not this motherfucker. Can't believe I'm about to say this, but if you disagree with that, read some fucking theory. Oh no, Greyecraft's a theory, bro. A little bit, yeah. China is more totalitarian right now than anything, in my opinion, and they're capitalist. Funny enough. An ultra-capitalist nation like China is totalitarian? Oh, wow. Wow, imagine that. If there's even an inkling of authoritarianism. And I mean actual authoritarianism, not the kind that when leftists say democracy is authoritarian. No, it's fucking not. If we make it illegal to democratically vote for anti-democratic measures of any fucking degree, then you're protecting democracy. You have to be anti-democratic towards anti-democracy in order to preserve democracy. So it's okay. What's going on outside? Some bullshit, probably. So speaking of workers, listen, I'm about to say some shit right now. I want to make one thing clear. Real quick. On this stream, on this channel, throughout all of my streaming career so far, I have never once mentioned the name of my workplace. I've never once mentioned the address. I've never once mentioned anywhere pretty much near where it could possibly be, or what it is, or who it is. I never really even mentioned coworkers, as far as like, especially by name, or if they ever drop by the chat or anything like that. Okay? I've only ever mentioned, this is for legal reasons why I'm mentioning this, by the way. I've only ever mentioned that I am a behavioral technician for a rehabilitation center and that I live in Dayton, Ohio. That's it. That is it. That's all I've ever mentioned. So with that being said, if there happens to be someone in the chat or someone who watches this VOD later, or when this becomes a segment on my YouTube channel, if there's someone from my workplace whose job is to stalk our social media profiles to make sure that we aren't wearing uniforms on social media selfies or something like that. To make sure that we're not talking about our place of work so as to not compromise the reputation of our workplace. Which I haven't, by the way. If you happen to be looking into my profiles, I will leave you anonymous because I'm professional like that. But there's something I'd like to address. Workers' rights are human rights. If you are not pro-worker, you are anti-worker. If you are not pro-mental health, you are anti-mental health. I'm going to be fair and charitable. And I'm going to say that I do not have the full story. But something happened. That there was someone I worked with who is a fellow cultist. They're not crazy, but they do have some mental health issues. And they had to take an extended leave of absence to remedy an episode. To return, you have to get a doctor's note. They just bought a house. They just dropped $2,000 to get a house. Their doctor took a little bit too long to get a doctor's note to this individual, saying basically from this date to this date, I've been working with patient X for mental health reasons. They had been corresponding with their supervisor pretty much the entire time. I have seen the receipts. I have seen screenshots of these messages. This is not a lie. They did just this. And it was communicated to this fellow proletariat that they could not return until they had a doctor's note. Now, let me ask you something. Chat. If you get a direct text message from your supervisor saying this, would it be fair to assume that it is unnecessary to call off every day? It should be mutual understanding, right? You're taking an extended leave of absence for mental health purposes. And I also looked into the law that you cannot discriminate against anyone for mental health reasons. She was terminated. I just used a pronoun, whatever. So I'd like for it to be known now. If something like this ever happens in your workplace, my fellow cultists, find somewhere else to go immediately, or get a lawyer. And again, anyone who may be watching this, or the VOD, or the video, who may be stalking employees of the place that I work as part of their job, you all should be ashamed of yourselves. Granted, I do not know the full story. And also for legal purposes, I was told by my direct supervisor, as long as I'm not on the clock, I'm not on duty, I can talk about this subject. guess what? I'm not on the clock, am I? Freedom of speech. Did not name where I was working, right? Did not name where it was at. I'm not wearing a uniform. I'm not naming names of the employee or employer. But god damn it. Repugnant. Shameful. And you wonder why places like Starbucks and Amazon, who are constantly shafted by their employer, are starting to form unions innumerably across the country. Goddamn right I got my bases covered. And I swear to God, you come after me, I shall smite thee. You will not know the flames that burn you to ash. I debate and I talk politics for a second living. Do not consider me ignorant. I have weapons unlike anything you've ever seen. With that off my chest, the bourgeois are absolute creatures of an evil that none can account the capacity for comprehensively. Chevron is included.
Chevron refinery workers in Richmond, California are on strike. In fact, you probably don't know this, it's their 7th week of striking, and they are demanding better wages, better working conditions, and it's not like Chevron can't afford it. But of course, they are fighting their own workers pretty aggressively. Before we get to those details, though, let's take a look.
I think they look at us as bodies and they don't respect us as people, and they don't value our skills that we've built up over time.
You're unable to do the things that you want to do with your family. You make these sacrifices to take care of your family and come work at Chevron. And when you add into that understaffing and forced overtime and standby periods, your life basically begins to revolve around being in here or waiting to get called to be in here. And your home life suffers.
They didn't want to hear us. They dismissed our health and safety concerns within the proposals, some of the protections in our contract, and that's what brings us out here.
It's gotten to the point where we don't feel it's safe in there to operate right now, especially with the long hours, force outs, forced standbys. You essentially have no time for your family or personal life.
So please check out, the Perfect Union Twitter page where they post a lot of these videos, also their website. They do great work and provide a voice for people who typically get ignored by the corporate media for obvious reasons. But negotiating in bad faith, Chevron proposed 2 contracts to the Unified Steelworkers Union without addressing the workers' main concern, which is the cost of living in the Bay Area, which is where many of them live. They're working for one of the most profitable corporations in the world, and they are not made whole by their employers so they can afford to live in the area they need to work in. And so the talk stalled. Chevron has decided to ramp up its police presence at the facility to intimidate the workers on strike. They're not even trying to hide it. So in the weeks before the walkout, the group of Richmond police officers were put on standby in case they were needed at the refinery. During the first week of April, Chevron paid the San Pablo Police Department to put officers at the facility's gates. Chevron agreed to pay overtime to both departments to make officers available.
They can raise wages.
Yeah, I mean,
in theory,
they can shell out the cash to crush their workers, but they can't shell out the cash to make sure their workers can afford to put a roof over their heads as they work for their company.
And people whom I might know wonder why I push so hard.
I don't, honestly, living in California under the leadership of Gavin Newsom, I know firsthand how terrible he is. There is no way in hell I would support Gavin Newsom. No way.
Fucking
No
right.
way. No way. I
Yeah.
would.
Teeth.
Don't care. I don't care if Satan himself is running against him.
He might be.
I mean, yeah, that's
Again.
true. That's true.
Yeah, Hillary.
I'm glad that the workers are doing this. I think that they can, in theory, might be bolstered a bit by the fact that there is an environment nationally that's more supportive of these sorts of things. They need support, though. I mean, they need coverage, like you got from the More Perfect Union right there. They, in theory, need politicians to support them. You know, obviously Gavin Newsom's not going to do it, but there are good progressives in California that could head over there. Bay Area progressives, by the way.
4 days after the strike began, Chevron security director reached out to any and all police departments willing to, quash efforts to do the strike, anyone engaging in the strike. In an email obtained by KQED, Security Director Daryl Jackson said he understands the optics of bringing police in, saying, quote, "I was asked to reach out to you and any other police agencies to see if there is any interest in providing on Chevron paid overtime uniformed officers to assist in keeping traffic flowing around the refinery. Chevron understands the optics, but I've seen some very dangerous vehicle opportunities, and those optics have the opportunity to look bad as well," he wrote. What does that mean?
I mean, it could be a reference to the fact that in the aforementioned, coal strikes, the worker, like some of the brass or whatever, was like running into the protesters. Like, what does keep the traffic flowing mean? Well, you have to clear a path so that trucks can continue to get in, but the workers are standing in the way. So you're either hitting them with the trucks or you're hitting them as the cop to get them out of the way. That's what they're being hired to do. Like, that's the reason they have to choose cops in the first place, is they're asking them to do something that will be illegal, but in theory, they'll be protected by the fact that they're cops.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, several hours later, the San Pablo police chief, his name is...
Let's be quite. Let's call it out for what it is. This is gang shit. This is gang shit. These are crimes. These are crimes. There just have to be fucking corporate sympathetic loopholes to be able to carry out these otherwise illegal fucking activities. Biden, you're supposed to be the most pro-union president in American history. Do something about it. Prove it, you fucking pussy.
Our rate would be close to $200 an officer per hour. I can try to fill it, but it's kind of last minute.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I would consider it, but
No, you wouldn't.
That's
not in a million years.
$200 an hour. That's a lot of money.
It took them 5 days to take the deal, but look, at the end of the day, historically speaking, policing in this country has been used to target black people. We know that, and also protect property, protect corporate property. That's it. I mean, we saw it happen in Zuccotti Park in real time. It was disgusting.
Yeah.
One of the first things that Chase Bank did as the protesters were gathering in Zuccotti Park in New York was provide a pretty sizable donation to the New York Police Department. Gee, I wonder why.
For those who might not know, you should be grateful for... Thank you. Really appreciate it. Thank you. For those who don't know, the 8-hour workday was died for. Pro-worker activists, long time ago, died. They were killed by cops to make sure that we weren't working 12 to 16-hour days, instead an 8-hour workday. The 8-hour day movement, or 40-hour work week movement, also known as the short time movement, was a social movement to regulate the length of a workday, preventing excesses and abuses. An 8-hour workday has its origin in 16th century Spain. Wow, I didn't even know that. But the modern movement dates back to the Industrial Revolution in Britain, where industrial production in large factories transformed working life. At that time, the working day could range from 10 to 16 hours. The work week was typically 6 days a week, and the use of child labor was common. The first country that introduced the 8-hour workday by law for factory and fortification workers was Spain, actually. Wow. In 1593. I didn't know that. In contemporary era, it was established for all professions by the Soviet Union in 1917. One of the few things they got right. Word. In the early 19th century, Robert Owen raised the demand for a 10-hour day in 1810 and instituted it in his socialist enterprise at New Lanark. By 1817, he had formulated the goal of the 8-hour day and coined the slogan 8 hours labor, 8 hours recreation, 8 hours rest. Women and children in England were granted the 10-hour day. In 1847, French workers won the 12-hour day after the February Revolution of 1848. A shorter working day and improved working conditions were part of the general protests and agitations for Chartist reforms and the early organization of trade unions. There were initial successes in achieving an 8-hour workday in New Zealand and by the Australian labor movement for skilled workers in the 1840s and 50s, though most employed people had to wait till the early and mid-20th century for the condition to be widely achieved through the industrialized world through legislative action. The International Working Men's Association took up the demand for an 8-hour day at its Congress in Geneva in 1866, declaring the legal limitation of the working day is a preliminary condition without which all further attempts at improvements and emancipation of the working class must prove abortive. And the Congress proposes 8 hours as the legal limit of the working day. Karl Marx saw it as of vital importance to the workers' health, writing in Das Kapital, 1867. By extending the working day, therefore, capitalist production not only produces a deterioration of human labor power by robbing it of its natural moral and physical conditions of development and activity, but also produces the premature exhaustion and death of this labor power itself. November 17th, 1915. Uruguay adopted an 8-hour working day under the government of Jose Batlle Ordonez. Hopefully I didn't butcher that. Nevertheless, the law was not effective on all types of work. On April 3rd, 1919, Spain introduced a universal law effective on all types of work, restricting the workday to a maximum of 8-hour days. Wow, I'm just that right there. Rio Decreto de 3 de Abril del Day 1919. Holy shit. Was signed by the Prime Minister Alvaro de Figueroa, first Count of Romanones. The first international treaty to mention it was the Treaty of Versailles. Versailles. There we go. Yes, the Treaty of Versailles. In the annex of his 13th part, establishing the International Labor Office, now the International Labor Organization. The 8-hour day was the first topic discussed by the International Labor Organization, which resulted in the Hours of Work Industry Convention 1919, ratified by 52 countries as of 2016. Really? That long? It took that long. While it may belong to a tradition of spring festivals, the date was chosen in 1889 for political reasons by the Marxist International Socialist Congress, which met in Paris and established the Second International as a successor to the earlier International Working Men's Association. They adopted a resolution for a great international demonstration in support of working class demands for the 8-hour day. The date has been chosen by the American Federation of Labor to continue an earlier campaign for the 8-hour day in the United States, which had been the cause of a general strike on May 1st, 1886, and culminated in the Haymarket Affair, which occurred in Chicago 4 days later. May Day subsequently became an annual event. 1904, in 1904's 6th Congress. Quit saying Congress. Conference of the Second Internationale called on all Social Democratic Party organizations and trade unions of all countries to demonstrate energetically on the 1st of May for the legal establishment of the 8-hour day, for the class demands of the proletariat, and for universal peace. The 1st of May is a national public holiday in many countries across the world, in most cases the International Workers' Day, or a similar name. Some countries celebrate a Labor Day on other dates significant to them. such as the United States and Canada, which celebrates Labor Day as the first Monday of September. May 1st was chosen to be International Workers' Day to commemorate the 1886 Haymarket Affair in Chicago. In that year, beginning on May 1st, there was a general strike for the 8-hour workday. On May 4th, the police acted to disperse a public assembly in support of the strike when an unidentified person threw a bomb. Fuck, I didn't hear about that part. The police responded by firing on the workers. The event led to the deaths of 7... Cut out the brooms, motherfucker. The event led to the deaths of 7 police officers as well as 4 civilians. 60 police officers were injured, as were 115 civilians. Hundreds of labor leaders and sympathizers were later rounded up and 4 were executed by hanging after a trial that was seen as a miscarriage of justice. The following day, May 5th, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the state militia fired on a crowd of strikers, killing 7, including a schoolboy and a man feeding chickens in his yard. In 1889, the first meeting of the Second International was held in Paris, following a proposal by Raymond Levine, or Levine, whichever one, that called for international demonstrations on the 1890 anniversary of the Chicago protests. On May 1st, 1890, the call encouraged May Day demonstrations took place in the United States and most countries in Europe. Demonstrations were also held in Chile and Peru. May Day was formally recognized as an annual event at the International Second Congress, there we go, in 1891. Oh wow, look at this. Wow, that colorization is so well done. Jesus. This was May Day rally in Moscow, May 1st, 1960. These kids are probably dead, by the way. May 1st rally in Bucharest in 1967. Wow, dude. Jesus. Just look at... They fucking went hard in the paint, dude. It's a rear square? Wow. It's beautiful. Protests against the Pinochet dictatorship in O'Higgins Park, Santiago, May 1st, 1984. Wow. Literally 1984. KFC, what are you doing? Right, yeah. Where was that? Fucking 11 spices and herbs. Do you like your protests? I just fucked up the joke. Kentucky Fried Communism. There we go. There's okay. Jesus, dude. May 1st, 1912, Union Square, New York City. Look at all those hats. Everyone was wearing a hat these days. Oh wait, no, that guy. No, he's wearing a hat. Okay. So many hats. Everyone wore hats. Why don't we wear more hats these days? We're like bowler caps and shit. Look at this guy. Oh my God, look at this guy. He's about to kill somebody. Holy shit. That's the killer, officer. That's him right there. He just smoked a doobie. You can argue. Am I the only one that thinks that like people who were born before like Gen X that they just looked weird physically? Like they were either handsome as fuck or they had a weird facial structure. I don't know, dude. It's Charlie Kirk's grandpa. Oh, look at this guy. Look at this guy right here. He performed 3 surgeries that day. Agitate, educate, organize. Is that what it says? It probably says organize.
Lindsey Graham was annoyed that they even had this this discussion about Amazon's labor practices. So you're going to see that, and you're going to see Christian Small's response.
This is very dangerous. You can have oversight hearings all you like, but you've determined Amazon is a piece of crap company. That's your political bias. They're subject to the laws of the United States.
Yeah, and they fucking exploit loopholes all the time. What the fuck? God, Lindsey Graham, you were so dumb. So stupid. So stupid. Why are you making it political? It's what? What?
They shouldn't be subject to this. If we get the committee back, we're not going to do this. I'm here to say that if you're a business, you can have a say too about your workforce. The idea that you can only get a government contract if you promise to be neutral is ridiculous.
Why?
This is a heavy-handed approach, the most radical agenda in my lifetime. And it should be carried out at the ballot box, and it will be.
How is it radical to want no matter what job or amount of jobs you have, how is it radical that the workplace in general, that you spend fucking 16, 17, 18, all the way up to like retirement age of 50 to 65. Some of us can't retire and work all our fucking lives. And we just want just a crumb, just a little bit of human rights, just a little bit of treated fair, just a little bit of humanism, just a little bit of altruism, just a little bit of understanding and compassion, just a little bit of not profits over fucking people, because money don't fucking matter when it comes down to human value. Sorry, but unfortunately, it's not true. Your philosophy of you do not have intrinsic or inherent value as a human being unless you are making money for yourself or making money especially for someone else, especially the oligarchs who control your fucking life. I set your schedules. I set your days on and off. I set whether or not you get paid this much, or this much. I set whether or not you qualify for PTO. I have to approve or deny your PTO. I have to comply to the most minuscule amount of the 8-hour workday. But hey, man, if you want overtime pay, hey, the cost of living might dictate whether or not you are going to work overtime. Guess what? I got an invisible gun to your head. You better work that overtime if you want even a slight bit of comfortability. You have to fuck working to live. You better live to work, bitch. I got you bent over the barrel. My name is Bourgeoisie CEO, bitch. I control your fucking life. You want to know real Big Brother shit? Real New World Order shit? Let me tell you something. It's these motherfuckers who literally see you, as cliche as it sounds, as a fucking number. That's all you are to these people. And that's all you are to fucking Lindsey Graham. He gives a fuck more about corporate profits and corporations and the lobbyists they send to line his pockets and pad his expense account. More so than people like probably his fucking nieces and nephews who are probably, I don't know, or his distant cousins' kids or whatever the fuck. I'm making this part up. But like, he's probably got distant family relatives who are working in McDonald's. Who he, maybe they're just a tiny bit more liberal than Mitt Romney. So he's like, nah, these motherfuckers in my family, I don't really like them so much. I'm not gonna share any of my lobbied wealth with them. They can starve and suffer. I don't really get. This is a really good Lindsey Graham impression. Jesus Christ. I don't give a damn about their kids. I don't want them to have free school lunches. That's a matter. This is a really good impression. Holy fuck. I gotta stop making myself laugh. I really actually had to take some ivermectin last week because of the amount of horseworm that was in my asshole. I got plowed by horse after horse after horse. It was absolutely insane, the amount of horse jizz that was pumped into my tight old ass rectum. It was dripping out like a hentai. Oh my god. Oh my god. My name is Lindsey Graham and I fuck horses. My name is Lindsey Graham and I can unequivocally and objectively go fucking fuck myself because I am ontologically evil. True! Lindsey Graham actually having a good take for once. Literally Vaj. Oh! No. Stop. Oh my god. Did we really just compare Lindsey? They found common ground! 9 pounds of horsecock, white, creamy Cleveland brown. My name is Lindsey Graham. Vosh is my cousin. We both like the horsecock. Oh my god, that is way too good. Oh my god. Oh my god. I just that's there we go. We have a new voice I can do. I'm gonna exploit the fuck out of that. 9 pounds of horsecock in my anus. South Carolina. Run, Forrest, run.
Well, first of all, I want to address Mr. Graham.
You can address me as not Mr. Graham. I would prefer it if you called me horsecock connoisseur.
It sounded like you was talking about more of the companies and the businesses in your speech, but you forgot that the people are the ones who make these companies operate. And if we're not protected, and if the process for when we hold these companies accountable is not working for us, then that's the reason why we're here today. That's the reason why I'm here to represent the workers who make these companies go. And I think that it's in your best interest to realize that it's not a left or right thing. It's not a Democrat or a Republican thing. It's a workers thing. It's a workers issue. And we're the ones that are suffering in the corporations that you're talking about, in the businesses that you're talking about, in the warehouses that you're talking about. So that's the reason why I think I was invited today to speak on that behalf. And you should listen because we do represent your constituents as well.
Hell yeah.
So just take that into consideration that the people are the ones that make these corporations go. It's not the other way around.
All right, so I have a second clip coming up, but first here, Lindsey Graham.
David Dole is such a handsome buddy. David Dole can cream my Canada. Oh, goddamn. He really rustles my feathers.
Lindsey Graham and his righteous indignation. Oh, Amazon doesn't deserve this. They shouldn't be subjected to this. Come on. This is a company whose profits soared 220% during the pandemic. Meanwhile, places like where Christian Smalls worked, COVID outbreaks. No real protections in place for workers until they complained.
Right.
People getting sick, overworked, underpaid, while Amazon corporate enjoys their massive profits.
Yep.
While Bezos is out on his, several yachts going to space, these people actually doing the work, actually the ones generating the profits for Amazon.
Yep.
But no, Lindsey Graham, businesses should also have their say. Are you kidding? What? That's all that's been going on.
Mm-hmm.
The only ones that have their say are the businesses, are the corporations.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, workers get a voice in this 1 hour-long hearing, and it's too much for Lindsey Graham. He can't take it.
Right.
Absolutely ridiculous.
What
And
a
by the way,
snowflake.
look at who the child is in the room there. Christian Smalls calmly, shuts down Lindsey Graham's crap. Lindsey Graham freaking out that there's any criticism at all about Amazon.
Right.
I wonder who he represents. Who do you think Lindsey Graham stands up for?
I like to stand up for for the fleshlights that I order off of Amazon. I love them fleshlights. They really do something for me, while I'm also pumping up my beehole with a dilly dough. I love that I could do that voice.
The vast majority of people, the working class, or the ones at the top of society that already benefit completely. It's absolutely amazing to me that anyone can vote for a dipshit like that.
Preach.
Now, before I get to the second clip, they also went to the White House. So White House hosted the organizer at Amazon and at a Starbucks.
Hell yeah.
Christian Smalls tweeting out later on that's saying that he is currently at the White House. Now, who do you think organized that? Who do you think reached out to Christian Smalls, to Starbucks organizers? Joe Biden? Think it was Joe Biden?
Probably
Joe
not.
Biden, who's been trying to ignore this issue this entire time.
Right.
Joe Biden, who has done nothing at all to actually fight to pass the PRO Act. No, of course.
The most pro-union president, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, God. Oh. Subscribe, like, and slap the notification bell on for David Doe at the Rational National. Make sure, as a matter of fact, I'm doing it now. Make sure you press on the all button. This video is brought to you by Ray. This video is brought to you by Raid Shadow Legends and Manscaped.com. Also, please watch 10 hours of fat, juicy, fat, juicy horsecock. Drinking Starbucks Buckstar coffee. South Carolina. I fucking love this. Oh my god, dude. You guys are the fucking worst. Make sure to hit that all notification bell and subscribe to Vosh. The proletariat must seize the means of production and emancipate themselves from the fascist theocratic political subjugation and nullification and oppression of the working class people. Hey, base socialist Graham?
The union busting is above and beyond.
We heard about the intimidations. We heard about the threats.
Anyone that talks to us
gets fired.
We gotta get that down. Because that is threats. That's creating an environment of intimidation. Creating a retaliatory environment.
Which is against the fucking law, by the way. You can't do that. You can't do that. Amazon needs to be held accountable. Lindsey Graham. I believe that Amazon should be held accountable for creating a workplace environment of intimidation and creating a retaliatory environment on their workers for simply wanting negotiating abilities. Based! Could you imagine if Lindsey Graham was a socialist? Holy fuck, dude. I would... Could you imagine... Southern boy Lindsey Graham here. I believe the proletariat should seize the means of production. Like, that's so fucking good. That would be so wonderful.
We heard about these anti-union meetings.
Amazon doesn't realize that everybody is already traumatized about working there for 10 hours, 12 hours on station. And when you divide workers and you're putting workers against each other, you're putting us in danger, and to the point where, you know, we have to hire security now. And we gotta watch our back, because workers really believe the stuff that they're hearing about us.
They stop production.
Propaganda.
5 hours per day to bring every single person, all 500 people on the shift, into this meeting where the general manager and the vice president of HR for all of Amazon comes and begs people basically to vote no. Never in the history of Amazon have they ever stopped production to hold people for an all hands on deck meeting.
Which is really indicative of like how much piss is currently sitting in their pants right now. They are so afraid of worker solidarity. They are so afraid of people standing up for their worker rights. They're so afraid. Like like this woman just mentioned. They never stop production, let alone for 5 hours for a seminar to basically tell people, please vote no on the union. Please, please, we want to subjugate you and oppress you and exploit you for our own capital. Please vote no. We want our fucking money. We want our money.
We want our money.
Demon shit, bro.
That is illegal, unacceptable.
True.
And we're going to deal with that as well. So we need strong labor law, which at the end of the day says that if 50% of workers in a unit plus one vote for a union, you know what? They got a union, and the company's going to have to negotiate that contract.
Period.
at a reasonable time.
Period.
So of course, Bernie Sanders, any attempt here for workers to have their own voice,
I can't fucking.
For the first time,
I can't focus. I'm seeing this fucking paragraph over here, and I'm just. God damn. This will be the last one I do. God damn it. This is. I got plowed by Elmo and Barney, the dinosaur, in New Orleans during Mardi Gras. Also, I love Hannah Montana. Her songs do indeed go hard in the paint. Also, I am Pragandadant. And I'm the daddy. Please vote for Elon Musk in 2024. Okay, that was all about it until that last part, Lindsay, okay? Listen, Lindsay, we don't want Elon Musk to be president, okay? Can you please be a socialist again? Please vote for Bernie Sanders in 2024. Hey, there we go. That's a lot better.
All hands on deck meeting actually stopped production. I mean, think of what it takes for Amazon to decide we're not going to have profits for 5 hours today. This is what it takes. Because of how scared they are of workers having their own voice, because they understand what that leads to. That leads to them maybe having to pay a little more.
Wow.
Maybe having to improve conditions somewhat.
Oh.
Maybe cutting into just a tiny bit, little bit, cutting into the money given to executives at the top of the company.
Oh!
But
so
this
terrifying.
Is why this fight is so important, and why that victory was so important. Because
okay, Bezos can afford a $500 million yacht and properties with 25 plus bathrooms. Pay your fucking workers. Unions, unions, unions. We have nothing to lose but our chains, comrades. We shall be successful one day. Whether that be through electoralism or otherwise. Whatever it takes. So I got fired. And it's okay. Completely good. I have other options. I am good. No need to worry. If you wish to contribute to the cult, feel free to do so. But it's not like I'm freaking the fuck out like, I'm about to get kicked out in like 3 minutes. It's not, that's nothing like that, you know. We're good over here. A large part of me is actually very fucking relieved that that I got let go from my job. A part of me is very relieved because I gotta say, if you want an example as to how motherfuckers, you know, these bourgeois fucking capitalist pig ass autocrat motherfuckers be money centered rather than people centered, it would be my previous job. So it weighed quite a bit on me when I was still employed with them. So again, a part of me is actually very glad that I'm not there anymore. And you know, if things go right, I'm going to be able to dedicate more time to streaming. And be able to stream more often. With that being said, I want to start this stream out by talking about recovery a little bit and how capitalism is fucked when it comes down to its effects on people, addicts and alcoholics trying to get sober. Let me fix this fucking headset. The rehabilitation industry is absolutely fucked. So there's not a lot of people cut out for it, okay? Flat out, it's just the truth. There's not a lot of people that are cut out for working in any field involving recovery. I don't mean to sound narcissistic or conceited or hey!
What up, yo?
A saw, dude. What up, yo? For someone to work in the rehabilitation / recovery field, you got to be built different. You really do. It doesn't. I'll say this: if you're an addict and or alcoholic who yourself are in recovery, you're the perfect candidate when it comes down to working a job involved with that, because I don't know, experience tends to help. You know, people who are just starting out where you also started out at one point. Again, I celebrated 5 years of sobriety on March 1st. So it kind of goes without saying, I was pretty fucking qualified. Not to mention some of the vital psychic changes that are necessary to prolong and continue quality recovery and sobriety. Capitalism sucks though. So, because what ends up coming along with drugs and booze and, overindulgence in those things, let alone a potentially genetic predisposition to having an addictive personality, there tends to be crime that comes with that. A lot of people tend to have records. I was fortunate enough. What's happening with my collar? What is happening? I was fortunate enough to never get caught by the cops for the shit that I was doing. I've never been to jail, I've never been to prison, never been to a psych unit or a rehab or anything like that. When I got sober, I just did it because I knew that I fucking needed to. So statistically speaking, I'm a rare case. There's not a lot of people that just decide to go to a 12-step fellowship without, legal or psychological consequences. When it comes down to the field, it tends to be the case that more often than not, you are hiring former felons. This is just one example out of a plethora I could list off. You end up getting a lot of former felons working in rehabs and stuff because, again, they have been there and done that, and it just kind of comes with the territory. Now, what's fucked up is that it could have just been the place I was working, to be fair. But regardless, it seems to me that we'll say 97% chance you're not going to move up. Exactly, and because felons can't work anywhere, we have a felon discriminatory system as is when it comes down to the job market. They have limited options. Their scope of opportunity is a little bit shrunken down. So, really, here's the thing. There's a lot of people that I know in recovery who get a job, and compared to the way that they were living when they were still in active use, they're just grateful to be employed, let alone employable. I'm fairly sure I'd never be able to do that. It's a hard job. It's a hard job being a behavioral technician, or even, and to be fair, a counselor. Really any position where you directly have contact with newly sober addicts and alcoholics, it is a hard job. Not that it's physically demanding at all, but it is mentally exhausting. I can't tell you how many seminars I had to attend that involved things like compassion fatigue and burnout. If you don't know what compassion fatigue is, which I have a fairly intelligent community, but if you don't know what that is, you know, it's when you care too much and it fucks with your mental health. It's when, for example, let's say I was a drug and alcohol chemical dependency counselor. And I have a client that comes in. We'll just call him Bob. Okay? Bob is like 48 years old. He's been drinking for the past 30 years. And has indulged in a lot of drugs. Addiction and whatnot tend to have a very... I just realized I forgot to put my flag back up. I had an interview the other day and I didn't want them to see fuck Stalin in the background. So compassion fatigue is when Bob comes in, he's 48, he's been drinking for 30 some odd years, he's been drugging too the whole time, and you know, addiction tends to have a very close correlation, it's parallel really, with trauma. You know, and you might have just gotten done with Jack and he didn't really have like that traumatizing of a life, you know, what us in the recovery community call a high bottom. A low bottom would be someone like Bob, who got by his priest when he was in Catholic school. His dad beat him. His mom was a junkie prostitute or something, you know, and was bringing home strange men and shit all the time. And fucking was always bullied throughout school. Attempted a few times. We're talking like a very like psychologically broken individual. There are sad cases like this more often than people care to admit. There's a lot of fucked up trauma in this world, man. And how else do you fucking cope with the shit? By trying to forget about it, by escaping reality, by getting fucked the fuck up, right? Then you end up like Bob, who's 48, drinking, drugging for 30 plus years, you know? And the legal, psychological, emotional, familial damage that ends up wreaking havoc on your life with, like, it's just, it compounds upon itself. So point being is that there were a lot of these seminars I had to go to where it would talk about things like compassion fatigue. It would talk about things like how to avoid burnout. And one of the ways to avoid compassion fatigue and burnout is to, like, when you need it, back the fuck off, go to your supervisor or something and be like, hey, listen, I'm not okay. I need some time off. Like, seriously, like, this is going on, and my emotional security is not there. You know, it's like, you know, there is usually a good place for you to go in that kind of a field where you're like, yo, I'm not doing okay, I need some time off for my mental health, and they will give it because it just comes with the territory. You should be expected as a firefighter, you know, to put out fires all day, every day, you know, going on the wee-woo truck, and if your house starts burning, you know, your boss is just kind of like, fuck you, dude. No, go put out their fires. Well, my house is on fire too, motherfucker. I need some help too. It's not an easy field. Now, where the money part comes in and where the employment part comes in and all that is that you'll get these people that come in, they get a job, and they're just grateful to be employable, you know. They're just grateful to have a job because before they were in a trap house, they were sleeping in a tent behind a trap house or some shit, and you know, they didn't have access to a shower or some shit, and no one's just gonna fucking hire them, you know. And now that they do, oh fuck, I can finally breathe, you know. Cool, you know, my needs are gonna be met. And then at some point down the line, there's inevitably going to come a point where you start to get some ambition, which is a good thing. I fully like people. There's some people that look at things like ambition and aspiration and try to view it as like, you know, I guess you're biting the hand that feeds kind of thing, you know, or that, you know, you're asking for too much. No, motherfucker, like, you know, I'm stable now and I want more for my life. I know a guy who went through AA. Is the stuff you do similar? AA seems to have a weird religious component to it. It doesn't sound like what you do has that. Okay, so I try to avoid saying this because, so I am in Alcoholics Anonymous. I am in AA. I try to avoid saying that because what if I relapse? And I disagree. AA is not a failure. I will. That's a hill I will die on. I'm absolutely grateful for Alcoholics Anonymous. It did save my life. Does it have its problems? Don't worry. We will get to that at some point. Absolutely. If you have questions, I will be honest with you. Okay, seriously. AA has fucking issues, but AA has existed since 1934 and has saved millions of people's lives, and it has done so for a good reason. It's not a failure, but it does need some tweaking. Fucking fuck yes, it does. Absolutely. We will get to that. I promise. But so I'm in AA, and I try not to say that publicly too much, because if I were to relapse, some drug addicted motherfucker in the chat who doesn't want to accept that they too are an alcoholic or an addict, they see me relapse and then they're like, oh, see, AA doesn't work. Well, no, I relapsed. AA doesn't necessarily not work. I did that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's the other thing. You know, I fully support and encourage anyone to go to Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous. You know, I fully am I'm a huge proponent for 12-step recovery under the right context. Please, if anyone in my community ever decides like I have a problem and I need some help, I'm gonna go to 12-step fellowship. Meet people, talk with people, and get to know people good and deeply before you choose like a sponsor to go through the steps or a good friend circle, because there's a lot of like fucking scummy motherfuckers today. AA is no different than the real world, okay? I tell this to people in recovery all the time. AA is no different than the world abroad. It's just a concentrated version of that. So you're gonna get, there's good people and bad people throughout the world, all right? So if AA is a concentration of that, because that's just what comes with the territory of addicts and alcoholics, we are concentrations of character defects and fucked up behaviors and thought patterns. You're going to have really wonderful people that really are going to have your back no matter what. They got you. They're not going to judge you. They want to see you succeed. They're going to help you succeed to the best of their ability, right? Not so much pick yourself up by your bootstraps, but I'm going to help you help yourself. And I see you don't have boots or bootstraps. Let me buy you some boots and hopefully help you help yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's like that. It's a really good thing. However, there's also the other side of the coin where you do have, like, I don't know if it's maybe Ohio being a red state and all, but there are absolutely fascists I have met in recovery. And I just steer clear of them. I don't even associate with them. I maybe have, out of literally hundreds of people I have met throughout the entire time I've ever been involved in it, maybe I am maybe still friends with 2 mildly conservative people. Other than that, I don't fuck with anyone who's to the right of the center. You know, I am friends with some libs. I am some friends with annoying Clintonites. I am also friends with progressives and some leftists who also are in recovery. But that's the other thing. That's not what it's about. It's about recovery. It's about getting off of drugs and alcohol. Anyways, that's a whole nother story. Point being, okay, this is where I'm going with this, okay? The rehab and recovery field, okay, is so disgustingly profit-driven. I put it to some of my coworkers before I got let go. I put it to them like this. Let's say everyone in my state of Ohio, every single addict and drunk came through our company, came through our facility, got sober, worked on themselves, self-improvement, self-discovery, and recovery, and graduated, went through the whole program, all 90 days. And they go back out into the world. Maybe go to sober living, or they get their own apartment, go back to their families, start reuniting, you know? They go back to the mainstream of society. They're now a productive member of it again. They start going to 12-step meetings, or they start going to church, or whatever the fuck, you know. Maybe they don't go to church. Maybe they go to synagogue, or a mosque, or a non-denominational temple, or something. Whatever the fuck. They have found themselves again, and they are now on their journey of fulfillment. And purpose and altruism, which are things that we aim for in recovery, at least what we're supposed to be aiming for. And every single addict and alcoholic in Ohio goes through our facility, gets sober, and is successful and never relapses. Okay? Would we want that? And my conclusion, no. No, we wouldn't. We wouldn't want that. You wanna know why? Because it'll inevitably end up drying out our income. That by itself should tell you how fucked up the rehabilitation and recovery field really is. I'm not saying that there aren't good facilities out there, or that I'm an anti-rehab. That's definitely not the case. But there are huge sweeping reforms that are needed when it comes down to this specific field of expertise. And so maybe one of these clients, they come back to our facility and they're like, this place saved my life. I'm grateful for you guys. I want to work here. They have felonies, a heavily stained record. No one else is going to hire them, or most likely not hire them. I'm not saying that they wouldn't ever. It's not impossible, but the probability is not in their favor. We say, okay, we're probably just going to keep them in that position that we hired them on for. And that's it. There is no moving up that's going to happen, because we already got key people in those higher up positions. And it's good enough the way it is. Don't fix it if it's broke. If it's not broke, right? Don't fix it if it's not broke. But it is broken. I can't tell you the amount of times that it has come to at least my and other staff members' attention when I was working there, that there were cuts to client care that ended up becoming bonuses at the end of the year. And I'm not convinced that we were a significant special case of like absolute fucked. Yeah, it is fucked. It is fucked. And we are not special. I do not buy that we are a special case of corruption. Because there have been other places, other facilities I've heard where similar things went down. And so, if it's government funded, it's illegal. Well, that's the thing. It's not government funded, because if it were non-profit, it would be. But we were for-profit. It's different. It's different. There's an owner, there's shareholders, which massively fucks up everything even further, because now there's a corrupt economic conflict of interest. That's why you only go non-profit. That's why every single that's why we need Medicare for all. If we nationalize the entire healthcare industry, from pharmaceuticals to insurance to hospitals and medical care, we would not need for-profit. We would not need it. And that everyone who works in that entire industry would be paid on a government salary. And then we could hopefully avoid shit like this, let alone if we seize the means of production and we end up seizing control of that entire industry. There's also a lot of scummy shit that was going on, policy, procedure, and protocol wise. So there is, it's probably not just us. It's probably other businesses as well. Maybe not, probably not all of them, but so there's a thing called triangulation. Okay, it's when 2 or more employees target in a conspiratorial manner another coworker. That's triangulation. It could be harassment. It could be very subtle. There's just things you say or do that makes it uncomfortable and not entirely safe. But they're not necessarily saying anything that would constitute as harassment. But they are making it very uncomfortable. Not necessarily a hostile work environment. But you're wondering if you're going to get fired tomorrow. Things like this. Now we had a protocol, a policy on triangulation. Basically, no one should fucking do it. Don't do it. You will be terminated if you triangulate. Fair enough. Yeah, don't do that. This is fucked up. I have had testimony given to me by 2 former employees and 1 other former employee that was very recent, that they truly did feel that their work environment was made to feel uncomfortable by superior staff. But because of how protectionist the upper echelons of the facility's particular hierarchy, how protectionist they may be for each other, there's no proof of it. And so there's no way to bring it to a court of law. It had come to my attention that I too, it's not definitive. It's not definite. I don't know this as a matter of fact, but there's much reason to suspect I too was triangulated by higher up staff and even other coworkers. Some things I heard through the grapevine, that there were conversations had behind my back that led to my termination. Conversations which they themselves were involved in the same activities. Hail to the king, thank you very much. Basically where I'm getting at is whether it's the rehabilitation field or your job, whatever that might be, please, my fellow cultists, watch your fucking back. Watch your fucking back. Because I got a huge taste of the inevitable effects and components of capitalism and how employers in the employer class are financially incentivized to backstab you every step of the fucking way. And even your coworkers. If you even remotely threaten them in any way, they will go after you. Because I gotta get mines. Please watch your backs. It's unfortunate that I have to... It's unfortunate. Cat lady, hello, how you doing? But it is unfortunate that I have to say it in this matter-of-fact kind of a fucking way, but you really can't trust anyone when it comes down to any job that you fucking have. You really can't trust anyone. I'll say this and I'll finish it off. The only complaint that was ever made on me was my time management. I was late a lot. I clock out for lunch. It's supposed to be 30 minutes. I might clock back in 32 minutes. 33, 34 minutes. You know? Other than that, I was the bomb diggity dog, man. I was the fucking shit. I was good at my job. I was good at what I did because I am good at what I do. When it comes down to recovery, I know my fucking shit. And I believe my fucking shit. Because it's funny enough, I'm a good person. Take me a long time to accept that, by the way. I'm a good person. And because so, I was a good employee. And the moment that I challenged authority and said, I do not agree with this, I think this is unethical, I think we need to change this, that, or the other, for the sake of not only the people that come to us in need of help, sick and poor people who have cornered themselves like wild animals in a desperate position that they did not expect to happen. Because they're addicts. We think the abnormal is normal and the normal is abnormal. We can't help it. It is a mental disorder. There's plenty of reason why it's in the DSM-5 as substance abuse disorder. When I challenged authority, that was not only for the benefit of clients, but also for the rights of my fellow workers, my fellow proletariat. Then came the final write-up. You got one more shot. And then here's the thing to top it all off. A coworker of mine, who I care about very much, ran out of gas. And I'm gonna help them. Like, they couldn't get out of the parking lot. And we went down in my car to a gas station. We got a gas can, filled it up enough to get them to another gas station, to get their car to a gas station to fill up so that way they can go home instead of being fucking stranded. Okay? That was me. That's what I did. I helped them. It's the last straw for them, apparently. I didn't leave anything unattended. I had a coworker watching the floor while I was gone. And yet, being a good person was the last straw for them. So now I'm out of a job. And then literally like 40 minutes later, after I got fired, I was having a phone interview with another rehab. And then the next day, had a virtual interview. I think it went well. It was a little bit hard to feel them out. But I feel like it was good. And a part of me is kind of in a little bit of a rock and a hard place, to be honest, because a part of me is 50-50 on it. Okay, so Vosh made an argument about cops, and I feel the same way towards rehabs. Vosh made an argument saying, I encourage leftists to become cops, because if they don't, you know, if a progressive, honest to God, good person does not take the position of that officer, who is? Some fucking meathead MAGA motherfucker, probably. And now you're gonna have another George Floyd. Probably. Chances are, maybe, actually, individually, cop-wise, that might not happen. But there's a higher chance with a meathead MAGA motherfucker than a leftist being a cop. And I feel the same way about rehabs. If I were to work at a rehab, you got me in that position. But if I don't take that position, who the fuck would? Not to put myself on a pedestal or anything, but goddamn, I'm good at what I do. I'm also kind and compassionate and understanding, especially when it comes down to stuff like drug addiction and alcoholism. Because I've been there. I put a shotgun to my face because I did not have access to my fucking fix. I have been there. I know this shit. Front and back. I know it. So I could be there for them. If I'm not there for them, though, who the fuck will be? However, here's the other side of the coin. Of course it takes me getting fired to have time to go to a meeting and get my own recovery in check. When I was employed, dude, I used to go to AA meetings once or twice every couple of days. So we're talking 2 or 3 meetings every week. Maybe even more. Cheeseburger, what's up? How you doing? I used to go to multiple meetings a week. It would keep my mental health right. I would feel emotionally secure. I would feel peaceful. Since January 1st, 2022, since New Year's, to this day, I have been to maybe 10 meetings. 10 meetings over the span of 5 months is unacceptable for a person like me. There have been so many times where I have been not okay, and I've had to just... But in all reality, not okay. Because I didn't have time. Working third shift, I get off at 8:30 in the morning. I'm tired as fuck. Gotta go to sleep. By the time I wake up from a restful sleep, so I wouldn't fall asleep at work, all my meetings are gone. I've slept through them all. It's a fucked up time. And so, of course, now that I am let go and without a job, finally I get some self-care in, okay? So that's the other side of the coin. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should just DoorDash, you know, have my own schedule and do this more, because at least in doing this, if this ends up popping off and and you guys are donating and you guys are subscribing and like I'm really building a community here, I'm not compromising my values. There's no conflict of conscience in me because I'm doing things, this shindig of advocacy that I do, because this is what I believe in. This is where my values are. Anywhere else, I'd have to sacrifice something because we live under capitalism. So it's a little bit of an odd place for me right now. Just wanted to get that off my chest and you know, talk to my community a little bit, let y'all know what's going on in my life, and you know, and be open with you. And I just, with that being said, I really do appreciate all of you. And I don't want to get too mushy or anything, but you guys have changed everything for me. You really have. There's really nothing else, at least in the way of this, that I look forward to like this. You know, like I love doing this. I love interacting with. I love. You're gonna get me emotional. Stop. I really do like doing this, you know, and talking shit about corrupt ass politics. I know, Prague. I want to gargle all of you. I love you guys. I do. You know. So we're gonna keep going with this. We're gonna keep on fighting. We're gonna keep on advocating for as long as humanly possible. Someday I might be Grandpa Commie for the internet. You know, that's the kind of trajectory I want to go down. So again, so thank you all for supporting me and showing me the love that you do. Yeah, this is unlike anything else I've ever done my entire life. So thank you for coming along for the ride.